can I share with you some thoughts about the end-to-end tests? Super quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I've been reviewing the code and so on, and yeah, my main questions is this. So you added like you add some scripts or tasks like install
Mm-hmm.
plugin, remove plugin, replace database. Well, mostly these three. With those three, um, which I don't know, I don't know what you think, but maybe with those three, you're doing those in the tests themselves. Where did it go?
The opening.
Sorry, I didn't saw it.
They open
Okay.
like one
Yeah.
tap to the right. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't saw because of the thumb bar. So yeah, the thing is that if you're doing in each spec, if you're using that install plugin,
Uh-huh.
my question for you is, should we then have only one instance of WordPress? So I guess this doesn't make sense to be here, but that's one of the questions. Like that's the thing that's gonna take the most time. But the thing is that once we have a WordPress running and a Frontity running, if
Yeah.
your idea is to install plugins and replace database before each spec, then why do we need multiple WordPress instances for?
Oh, because so we still might want to install. So we might want to use different version of PHP or different version of
Yes,
WordPress.
yes. Then okay.
Uh-huh.
Then why not make the matrix the different versions of WordPress or PHP that we want to, the matrix of GitHub, the different versions of the instances, something like what we have right now with ES5
Oh, I
and
see.
module, and then
So then we run a
install
test for.
plugins and replace databases on each spec like you were proposing here. And have only,
Right.
instead of having multiple instances, like different end-to-end environments, we only have one. And it's going to run instead of in parallel, all the end-to-end tests are going to run in series, like on, what's the opposite of parallel? Serial?
In
Serial mode?
in a series. Like what? Yeah, I know what you mean. Serially, I
Serially?
guess.
Okay. So they're going to run serially, but it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine. So we instantiate WordPress, we instantiate Frontity, and then each spec loads its own database, install its own plugins in the before each, or no, not in the before each, in the before, it runs all the tests, and then in the after, removes the plugins, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my question. That was my question here. I mean,
so it wouldn't be one instance. It would be. Uh-huh.
I feel like my initial approach was to have like multiple instances, each one with its own database and each one with its own plugins installed. But I think you're going in a different direction, and I think it's fine. So that installing plugins and replacing database per spec instead of per WordPress instance. So I just wanted to kind of explain that.
Yeah.
With more detail. But I think it's a good approach.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to share that.
So in your approach, you would suggest that we have so it wouldn't be one instance of WordPress. So it would be in that matrix. You're suggesting that we have like a separate instance for each version of WordPress, and then we run all of those tests against.
Yeah, maybe the last two major versions, or maybe the major version and the next beta version, or something like that. So we catch something before they release something, or something like that. But yeah, it's Frontity and WordPress, and then we run serially all the tests, installing plugins required for each spec and replacing the database for each spec.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Yeah.
I think you're going in that direction, which I think it's fine. But I think you still have some things of the others going on. So I wanted to talk a little bit with you about that, because I think that it would be also fine. Maybe simpler, to run, simpler to understand. There's only one thing to run.
Sorry, can you explain? What do you mean by one thing? There would be one thing to run.
One thing, we have only end-to-end tests. You want to add a new spec, okay? You need plugins for that. You add them in the before.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that I think that approach would make sense as well, even though initially we thought about parallelizing different instances of WordPress and so on. So only having one instance of WordPress and changing the WordPress.
Right.
I guess they all would have to share the uploads folder, but I think that's fine, because you can have as many files as you want in the uploads folder. And if you need a WordPress that doesn't have any image, the images are not in the database, and
Yeah.
WordPress doesn't care if there are images in the uploads folder, so it's fine.
Yeah. So so this is why I'm not sure if I explained in the video. So
Mario, I don't know if you wanna leave or stay. If
we can hear you.
you're muted.
I'll stay. I prefer to understand it, to get some.
So, yeah, in terms of parallelization, actually the launching of the container is not too slow, and also the replacing and of the database and all that is not too slow. The slowest part actually is running the front of the building and launching the front of the application. It was the slowest part by far. So it's not really that really worth the effort to parallelize all the tests. So if they run all serially and install each one replaces the database, installs the plugins, it's fine.
Okay.
So this is why I went kind of in that direction.
Perfect. Great. Then let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then I will also join the current end-to-end tests. They don't need WordPress, but that's fine. They have it there. Like I would try to make it only one end-to-end thing.
Right. Okay.
Only one Frontity project. We can run two matrices, one for ES5 or module in Frontity, and the other for WordPress. I don't know, two different versions of WordPress, the last version and the previous one or something like that. And that's it.
Yeah.
And in the future, we can tweak that if we need to. And in the future, if we have, I don't know, like 20 minutes of end-to-end tests, maybe then we can split in two. But in that moment, we'll see. So we run the half of the specs in one GitHub action and half of the specs in another, but it's fine. We'll see. So yeah, I just wanted to have this small conversation because I think that it was going to be clearer than in the forum.
Okay, so but so are we on the same page then? I think yes. So so the two things that you suggest that can be changed, right, would be to put the current end-to-end tests like under the same folder, so like run them together with the new end-to-end testing system, and
now the specs are going to need a database. It's a spec that maybe specs like integration tests. Integration is like the folder. They're going to need to have a database for their own, if they need to. Some of the tests won't need. For example, all the end-to-end tests that we currently have don't need a database.
Okay. So how does that impact the?
Now we're just commenting.
Okay. Okay.
The differences.
Right. Okay, but just so to recap, yeah, the two things that you suggest are to put the current end-to-end test under the under the umbrella of under the same project, under the same folder as the new ones, and to change how we create the instances in the matrix so that we have so that we have an instance like for the latest 2 versions of WordPress, basically.
Yeah, we can start that. So we have
And-
that option.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be more useful to test upcoming versions instead of previous versions, unless there is, I don't know, a change. I don't know if we should support old versions.
Okay. So, yeah, that's it. Does that?
Yeah. That was
all right.
what I wanted to comment.
Okay.